So today I'm speaking with Jake Lockyer. He's a vehicle designer, storyteller, and futurist, and he's the founder of Arcadia Technologies, which designs the vehicles of the future. Jake made one of the first AI produced videos about like a potential what's going to happen in the future, and it's really quite compelling. Hopefully we can talk about it today. So welcome, Jake.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for that introduction. That was, I think my ego has just gone through the roof. That made me sound very, very clever.
Well, we'll
I
see.
live
I
up
think
to
you
what you just said.
Okay, good, good. I think you might be pretty clever. So, all right, Jake, how are you using AI right now? What are you doing with it, like right now in your life, in your business?
So the two questions are kind of one really. How is it used in my life and how is it used in business?
Uh-huh.
Are one of the same. It's I find with AI, it's not so much a skill of prompting, it's how you use it in the workflow, how you're using it in your day to day. It's the zooming out and looking at that big picture. So when it comes to business and life, I'm thinking about what that means for me. How am I going about that? And I'll explain that to a conversation in GPT, and it'll help me figure things out. So at the very least, it's a sounding board that I use it
Mm.
for. At the very most, it's an assistant that helps me go through the paces of both design, decision making, and also generating part of my creative work as well. It really is infused in a lot of what I do, from life, business. It's a really useful uh, enhancement to have in general.
So, how much are you using it? Like, how many times a day are you checking in with generative intelligence?
I think I'm an addict in that case. I'm constantly got it open. I think you can use it for almost anything really, anything that you need to think through as a problem. It's fantastic. Like I say, I've always got that GPT window open, and I'll be copy and pasting bits of information into it um, every day. It's actually quite hard to tell you how many times because it just seems consistently infused in stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah. So, in other words, you're augmented now. It's now kind of like wired in.
I'm
Yeah.
I
Uh huh.
think alongside it.
Uh huh. Yeah. Rick Kurzweil. I love that term. Extended neocortex. You're already starting there, huh? What are a couple of things? So, I mean, you've already said some really fascinating stuff here. I thought it was really a good way to look at this. That it's not just about prompting, but how you use it in your workflow. It's like redesigning and architecting how you work. Um,
Yeah, I'd say so. It, it's metacognitions. It's thinking about thinking. I think that's the main skill when it comes to using AI in anything that you're doing with it, really. It's not so much, okay, I'm gonna template this prompt in such a way and it's gonna get me that result. I think it's more about zooming out from the problem. Instead of being a designer or a storyteller that would get in and sketch the storyboard exactly. Now I'm thinking about the storyboard or the design of the vehicle from a direction point of view, like a creative director. What are the challenges that I see? How can I tackle that? That's the skill that I've found so far in this journey. That's as you pointed out, evolving quickly.
mhm,
To be the main one, actually. Thinking about thinking.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And at this point, right, this whole concept that it's designed to do the things that would normally be repetitive or boring or but that it also can do all this creative stuff. It's like we all have to become creative directors. We all have to become visionaries now because now it's about knowing what you want and then using this to kind of accelerate your pace of the creation of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself, really. It's the curation skill, the something that I would say to students more specifically, any creative student that's in that endeavor, because it's a very competitive realm to be in, to go into storytelling and cinema and film or automotive design. They're very competitive realms to be in. And so the critical eye, the design eye, has to be top notch. Now we've got this tool that is helping people to get almost seemingly to this elevated level quite quick. You can write a sentence. Most people can write a pretty good sentence and get a pretty good result back. And I think that worries a lot of people. But the main skill to keep in mind for the students listening, because I'm sure that they're maybe a bit disheartened, is the critical eye for curation, the fundamentals of aesthetics, composition, color theory. Although there is a machine learning algorithm that is getting very good at that, style is going to become more and more important as we move into this. So it's very important that you know how to leverage those things, you know what you're looking at basically, so that your style and you and the creative you are shines through despite this algorithm that you use it. Because we can see when it hasn't been done well. Yeah, there is a bad way of using AI as well as a good way.
Hey, quick question for you. What are you learning from this interview? And what do you want to learn next? Well, you probably want to stay ahead of the curve with AI just like we want to. And we want to be your top resource for interesting, cutting edge AI tools and knowledge here on Metamind. We're finding and interviewing interesting experts from different worlds, different industries. And then we're using this knowledge so we can keep up with AI and improve our success, improve our quality of life. So stay with us on this journey. So first, click on the subscribe button, which you'll find under the video, so that YouTube puts this into your feed when we release new interviews with AI experts. And if you're enjoying this interview, please give me a like to let others know that this is the real deal. And also, if you know someone who's interested in what we're talking about here, then send this interview to them so that they can learn with you. And I also want to hear from you. So go down to the comments below and let me know, what's your favorite prompt or prompting technique? What are your favorite AI resources or tools? What are you learning from this conversation? Do you disagree with anything we're saying here? And also, what else would you like to learn? Who would you like me to interview here on Metamind? All right, well, go and subscribe, leave me a comment below, and back to our interview. Yeah, exactly. Steve Jobs he was always talking about art and artistry and quoting artists and, saying to steal like an artist and so forth, because he was an artist. He was an absolute artist. And most people don't really think through the fact that, Steve wasn't programming the computers. Steve wasn't drawing the designs. Steve wasn't writing the marketing. But he had a strategic vision. And then he would go and find all the best talent, and he would look at what they were doing and saying, yes, more of that. He really got that style and taste, that's what this is about. And that so he was doing this 20, 30, 40 years ago, except he didn't have AI. He just had, the best in the world.
Like you say, he had the best talent in the world doing it for him. I think now we've all got a certain level of talent in our pockets with this AI. Mid-Journey, for me, when I first saw it, like I think it's just over a year ago now, blew me away. Really did.
Absolutely.
And I look at it now, and it's I would go as far to say it's pretty rubbish from like back then. And I'm using the most recent versions now, and it still blows me away the way that it keeps outdoing itself.
Yeah.
Each and every time. So the visual impact. Yeah, I don't think that's something that you need to spend a lot of your skill energy on, if that makes sense. It is the zooming out, and you're best suited now having all these AIs do these things for you, but it's your vision and it's your strategy, and you're directing this I don't want to call it a team, and I'll get onto that later, but it does feel like these tools that we're using have a brain, and so that's something to weigh up as you use them and get them to work together.
That's a great insight. The tools now have a brain. when I teach the generative AI, the way I try to get it across, the best I've been able to come up with is, right, we haven't created artificial intelligence, we've created a digital mind. We've actually created something that is a mind, and even further, it's a mind emulator. You can have it emulate as many minds as you can. Somehow that metaphor, but I really like that. The tools now have a brain. Each tool has a brain of its own. It's like in crypto, it goes from a token to a smart contract. It's like programmable money. It's a whole other level. And to speak to what you're talking about here with design, it's like now the thing to develop is the style and the sense of taste and the sense of aesthetic value, right? That's what to develop in ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, I'd 100% say so. I mean, I I can't say for certain what's going to happen in the future, but a problem that has been historic for creative people and going forward is maybe more of a problem, is that creative people seldom make good businessmen. We do it because we love it. We've got passion for the art, and we do it because we've done it since we're kids. Yeah, and we want to do it for a living, but then a businessman comes along and we start doing it for them, and then that's like what happens with a lot of creative people. So now that there's an AI and this businessman can use the AI for that creative generation, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves you with a style, because I would like to see a future where, okay, AI might be able to emulate your style, but you get royalties because that's your style. You own that. That's a this person's style. That's a that person's style. So to your point, having that vision, having that strategy, and zooming out and sort of overtaking the algorithm in that sense, and having control over it, I think is a creative skill in itself. And it's a very important one going forward, because we need your style to shine through still. We don't want everyone's work to be an algorithm. That's not a good future. I want to see the future where people's styles are ever more powerful, and you can monetize that. I think that would be great.
So, you said that it's not about the prompting, it's, about the workflow and zooming out and so forth. But I know you have a lot of thoughts about prompting, and I know you have some opinions and some, prompting techniques. Could you maybe, I don't know, what is your perspective on prompting, and what's been your journey with prompting?
So yeah, if I was to sort of show it, I'll share my screen and I'll show you some of the prompts and creative workflow I go through. But I think at the very core of it, you do have that zooming out ability. If you know your workflow, then you then know your prompt. It's workflow first, it's strategy first, it's vision first. That is really important, not only for creative people, but I think people in general that are trying to get a job done with AI. And I do see it separate as a skill to the prompt engineering. Prompt engineering, I use one prompt for most things. I use others, but my favorite is actually just explaining the kind of job I want to GPT. I'll show you this in a second, in fact. And I'll say, these are the goals that I want to end up with. Make it a step by step. GPT, you can figure that out for me. I'll just oversee it and whether or not it checks out. And break this problem down for me, and then create a prompt from it where I can just give you the prompt back that you wrote for me and get the job done. And so you can apply that to creating a storyboard, or a particular challenge you have in design thinking. And so I'll show you what I mean. This is for my next short story, and it's about a floating city called New Atlantis, deep in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, hidden in the sea mist somewhere. And it follows a character called Mia, who's from a bit of a rough part of town on this floating city in New Atlantis. And it goes through her life. And it's a bit of a dystopian story. And the point of it is, part of the YouTube income will be put towards a ocean cleanup charity. So it's yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. So you basically told GPT the story or the outline of the story
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
initial prompt.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got a concept at this point, and now I want to make a storyboard, and this is how we're going about that sort of strategy. Yeah. So in fact, what I can do is because when I'm writing these prompts, I write them very messy. I'm just going, okay, this is because I'm focusing on the strategy. I'm focusing on the vision. What do I
Yeah.
want if I zoom out? You know, the words to me matter less so because this is the process for me. So here I am here, and I've just said to GPT, okay, prior in the conversation, we've come up with an idea for a YouTube episode, a little short story. And now I'm saying to it, break down everything I would need to turn this into a video. Start with a storyboard, and at the end, I want these things done.
So how about this? Can I read some of the prompt and then you tell me what's going on here? Okay. So great. Now I want you to take that idea with your understanding of it and write me a prompt that will get you to take the video idea and then make it into a storyboard. I want to storyboard to be formatted in a way that is easy to read and includes information such as shot description and VO. I want you to split the task up into steps. So first step would be to write the general overall story, and then the second step would be to make it more detailed and improved. Step 3 will then be to split it up into shots. Step 4 will be writing a VO that fits the shots and story perfectly and explains the happenings and facts of the video. Then step 5 will be making that VO even better. Please write a prompt that includes examples of the formatting and step-by-step for you to follow. I also wanted to include a section of command words I can use so that you can be controlled with these words between the steps. For example, I might want you to repeat the step or move on to the next step. Think of lots of useful command words. Okay, let's go. All right. So you told it that, and then now it's making you a prompt. It's not giving you the answer. It's giving you a prompt that you're then going to use. Yes?
Yes. So
okay. So take this apart. What are you doing here?
So the first line is I don't know if this is needed in a prompt, but I like to give it a little bit of positive reinforcement. I think it's just good habit. Yeah, so I start with great work. And then I always check in with the process and I ask it to relay to me its understanding a lot. In fact, I do that whenever I'm about to write something big. I always say to it, just relay to me your understanding of everything we've got so far, and it'll come back to me, and that's more for my sake because now I know what it knows. Again, we're thinking about thinking here, so I need to know what it knows. So getting the level of understanding from an AI is a very important thing to do regularly. So that's the first line. Now I've given it the task, and then I've just run away with that, and I start hammering my keyboard with things that I would like. So going through those steps, that's me now zooming out. I know the strategy. I know how I want this problem to be done. I just want the AI to do the problem for me. I don't want to get involved. I just know the overall vision that I'm after.
So you're kind of doing almost, this is a little geeky, but like problem meta design. You're almost saying to it, like, I have a kind of vision, which I guess earlier on was a day in the life living on a floating city, right? So that's I'm gathering here. So you gave it a story, an idea, and then you said to it, I want you to create a prompt that then turns this into a storyboard and then turns it into a video, basically. So you're kind of having it list the problems that need to be solved in a prompt so that it can then go solve them.
Yes, yeah, but I have the control. So the when it comes to using AI, I've used the term before, which is called a get lucky prompt, and it's what most people do. They treat prompts like a search query in Google, and they'll go, I want this. And then the AI will go, what about that? And then you just keep pressing enter until you get your thing you want. It's more of an issue with image generation than it is with GPT. But as long as you've zoomed out and you know that process, and you can break it down in your head, you're now open to interpretation from the AI, having known exactly what you're after in the end. So I've broken it down for it, and I said, but yeah, these are the general steps, but I've given it freedom to wrap it up holistically for me, because I don't want to spend my time doing that. I just know what I want in the end. So here's the avenue, and here's what I would like, basically.
Okay, we have to just dive into that for a minute. We're going to open up a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole here. So I really like what you're saying, because so that is what most people do, is they look at this and they go, oh, it kind of looks like Google. Let's just use it like Google. And they're trying to search AI rather than realizing that this is a knowledge synthesizer and it's a mind. And so you're kind of trying to go one level above that. And instead of saying, here's the kind of thing that I want, make me some stuff, and then no, not that, make me some more stuff until you see the thing you want, you're kind of saying, help me design what I'm going to ask you for so that you create a structure to give me the thing that I want. But as you go through each of your steps, I want to have some creative control so that I can tweak and tune.
Yes. And for example, here I've got it to run through a very automatic process for getting the storyboard done. But in a different prompt, let's say I'm trying to solve a design problem on an electric vehicle, I might I might start to come up with a different workflow. This is why I put so much emphasis on the workflow and zooming out than I do actually writing the prompt. Because if you read that prompt, it's a mess, Eben. It's my crazy mind just it's attacking this keyboard. But the logic within it is that I just have the vision that I'm after. So in a different problem, I might, like the car design one, I might say, assume the role of a famous car designer from history, right? And I want you to think along the lines of this designer, because I appreciate how they go around solving these problems. And I want to talk to that person as I solve the problem. But I just want the AI to assume the role and simulate a conversation with this particular designer, because I would like to simulate and stimulate my own creativity on this as I problem solve. So sometimes it might be me solving the problem, but I've set the AI up as an aid to my thinking. This one you're looking at here is a very automatic, get the job done kind of thing.
Okay, quick action step here. So the key is learning how to prompt better. You start out prompting by just asking questions and talking to AI like it's a helper, but you quickly realize that getting better at prompting is a huge accelerator and game changer for your own success in life. So these prompts will not only help you get a lot more done faster and accelerate your success, but they'll also help you really get prompting and get better at it. You can get all of these as a gift from me just by going to metamind.co/gift. That's metamind.co/gift, and I'll put that link below, and then just opt in to get it. I've also created a powerful video for you called AI in the Future of Business and Work and Success that demonstrates some of the key mindsets and prompting strategies to help you get up to speed and get a lot more out of generative AI. And it's also included as a free gift when you register. So just head over to metamind.co/gift to get your AI Accelerator Prompt Pack and the other free goodies. All right, back to our interview. As you were introducing this, you said you basically use one prompt for everything. But it turns out that what you're using really is more of a prompt, like an architecture or a structure, an overarching kind of super design or something. And so you said you explain the kind of job that you want, and you say, like, here are the goals. This is what I want to end up with. Now help me make this step by step. But you want to oversee it as it's making the step by step and having it break the problem down. And then you have it make you a prompt that then does this. This is a lot deeper than than I thought it was going to be, but it's brilliant.
This is the beginning, mate. I've got a few more tricks to show
Keep
you.
going.
Love to show
Keep
you.
going.
The final.
And by the way, I thought you had a lot more going. That's why I said it's a rabbit hole. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
People find that when they talk to me, they say, I get it a lot. They say to me, Jake, slow down, man. Yeah, because I just get, I love this stuff. I mean, I love it. I love design and I love AI. So when you get me going, I can really just talk through it as if it's like simpler than it really is. Not that I think it's simple, but I just want to jump through it.
Keep jamming.
The last line, because control is important with a creative process and AI, you don't want the AI to run off and come up with its own ideas and you follow the AI. You want the AI to follow you and help your thinking. I like to set up these prompts to include a kind of like, I want to make the AI an operating system for my problem. I want to make it an operating system for my problem. So I ask it to come up with useful commands that it can come up with, that it thinks is useful to the step-by-step, and to assign words to those. Because if we look at what it comes back with, it gives me a step-by-step and it breaks it down with objective and the output format example as well, which is useful. I didn't tell it to do that. It's done that itself. I can sign that off if you like. That's going to go ahead. I like that. But at the end, this is the key. This is what is going to allow me to control the process going forward. Now it's given me like an operating system, say expand, and you can develop that current step further. Say refine, and it will polish that step and make it better. Break it down, so on, so forth. Illustrate, it'll make an image of it. So now I've got these and I can go execute the prompt. And now we're going to start rolling with this process. And as I scroll down, I'll check in with you in case you want to jump in. But as we scroll down, you'll see I'll only be saying one word from here on out. Because as long as I know those commands, I can steer the process and just let the AI do its thing, which is be very productive and get through this problem with me.
Next.
Yeah, all good.
I'm using one of your commands.
Did you like my, as a large language model, so here we go. I've gone expand, and that is now it's going to expand on what it said last. Great. I say refine. Now it's
show me what it did when it expanded. What did it do?
So what went in was overview. So now we've got the first step of the prompt that the AI has executed on itself from my direction. Yep. And it said overview. In the not so distant future, humanity has adapted to rising sea levels by building massive floating cities. These marvels of engineering and sustainability offer a new way of life, harmoniously with the environment. So it's going into this overview, painting this picture, and actually, as it goes, it takes a utopian spin on it, which I change later. I'll get into that later because I wanted it to be dystopian. It started off utopian. And I say expand. So now it goes, as dawn breaks over the horizon, the floating city comes alive, not just as a marvel of human ingenuity, but as a testament to resilience and adaptability. It's going into more detail. Now it's also talking about the characters. So the student, Mia, the engineer, Alex, the city planner, Jordan. And it's expanding on what was last said and putting in more detail. Next, I say refine because I'm happy with that level of detail, but I just want it to be better. I want more substance to those things. So now we're getting a bit more development on these, and I've used 2 words so far. This is why I think knowing the overall vision is more important than the prompt in itself, because the AI, I think, in my opinion, is doing the heavy lifting in terms of prompt engineering. Like I say, I've said two words, and I think there is an argument to be made that this is prompt engineering if you include it as, you know, strategy as well. I could agree with that.
Yeah, this is, I would call this definitely
Yeah.
prompt engineering. Exactly.
Um, and so that's where we end up. I say next, and now we're on to the next step, and it moves on in the process.
Hmm.
That's where it goes really. And then as we get these shots, say again, expand, I want more, gives me more, refine it. And you can see it's very simple, just saying, you know, next step, cool. But I'm spending my effort here really reading this and um thinking in my mind the flow, you know, the logic tree of what this process is doing and where it's headed, um, what it might need. And so there we go. It runs through, and just as I sort of talk to it, and here I've said refine, talk more about the technology. I'm giving it a bit more detail. I want specifics now. Talk more about the technology, about facts of life, the architecture, give more of a focus on telling the viewer what technologies are in play, and describe design of things. That's important for when I get to the image generation. So I want that. And really push the scientific thinking and make it super creative. So I'm giving a bit of a nudge in the right direction as we're sailing through this process. And it really is a case of steering it, Eben, really from here on out. Now we've got that initial meta prompt, the process kind of flows and you take it here and there and poke it in the right direction.
Do you have an example of how you have done something like this, but in a completely different domain so that we could kind of analogize and get the common denominator?
So this is a good segue onto my other workflows. And this is one that I'm building at the moment. So this is for my automotive design, product design, industrial design sort of stuff. And this is a complete studio. So what you saw there was a in film, it would be a storyboard task. That's one task. I collect those tasks and I put them aside in this app called Notion. It's fantastic for this kind of stuff. So that's a good segue into these other workflows that I've got. And this is Notion. So in Notion, I'll take a task that I've run through with AI before, and I'll take the prompt that it's helped write, and I'll copy and paste that and put that aside for another time, because now that is like a little operating system of itself. It's like an app, basically. And I can use that when and if I need it. So what you're looking at here is for my automotive design, industrial design, product design work. And it's a collection of tasks that I've got and put together. But what's more interesting about this is that one task leads to the other, and the output from the last one becomes the input for the next one. So now we've got a meta prompt leading into another meta prompt to create a whole function of a team with collective tasks. So I don't know if you can read this or if I can make it any bigger for you so it's easier. So if I zoom out, all these stages are a collection of jobs that I would like done, like little tasks basically. So I get given a design brief, and my job as a designer is to take that brief and start to work my thinking on it, break down the problem, and design a solution that is elegant and desirable, and hopefully will win in some reviews and get to the end of the process. So there's a lot of thinking that goes involved that I could have enhancement with, and that's what this aims to do. So the last prompt you saw was AI helping me formulate a storyboard, which is useful for film. It can be useful in car design. What you're looking at here is mostly a automotive design, product design prompt or workflow. And so AI has actually written this. I've not written this. I've just asked for it because I know the architecture, as you say, and it's helped me put it together. And one prompt leads to the next. So the input here is the initial idea, any market observations, and business goals. I put that in. And what the AI turns that into are defined project boundaries, clear objectives, and an initial problem statement. Now, that output will be used in the next part. And the output of that next part will be the input of this next part. And so by copying and pasting and overseeing, I can run through a design brief and have something that won't be a finished design in the end, but it'll be almost like a document that I can read that's done quite a bit of the heavy lifting to get me started thinking about each of these steps. It's an aid, it's an enhancement to my creativity.
What we're looking at here is you're taking what maybe used to take a bunch of different people over a lot of time, and you're doing like a Pareto 20% of each of these things, but being able to run through the whole process maybe in, minutes to hours rather than weeks to months or something, and do very rapid kind of prototyping.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's essentially it. And I've used this a few times to sort of get a handle on a problem and understand it, and it really completes the picture for me as a creative, because now I can really start to work into the main point of my job and get that extra 20% on top of everything and chase that quality, try and raise the ceiling a little bit.
So, Jake, what does AI mean for creatives? And you've said a designer using AI is like an athlete that might be on steroids. All right. So, what does this mean for creatives and designers?
Like I said, that at the start, it's a very competitive realm that we're in, and we're competing in terms of technical skill and imagination and vision and things. But what AI does to a creative who's using it properly, it enhances all of that. It really does turbocharge how many design iterations you can do. That design cycle is this quick for somebody that is not using AI. With somebody that's using AI, the design cycle is like it's just spinning over time. They're getting through so many more iterations and developing their thinking on a problem so much faster. The competition in that sense, to bring it back to the athlete analogy, just it's not fair. It's if you don't use AI and you've got to compete with someone that is using AI, and I'll caveat that with properly, and well, so that they are still in charge of their vision. It's just not comparable.
And what's the best way to think about integrating AI and AI tools into your business?
So that's a great question, because that brings us right back to what I said at the start with the tool has a brain now. I think when we see AI, and we see the work that it can do for us, we imagine it as an invisible team member. And I think that's terrible for creatives. It's a human error, I think, that part of it, because if you're a designer that's using AI and you're using it in creative ways and you're using it to enhance your thinking, and you get to the end of the process and someone said, AI did that, it's taken the ownership of your imagination away from you. It's taken your style away from you. It's made it soulless. And that's a terrible thing. So the way we talk about it and integrating it is really important. It's a tool. It's not an invisible team member that does the work for a person. It enhances the talent you already have in your team. So acknowledging the people that use the tool in a good way is important first and foremost, I think.
Mm. I understand that you had a winning Hyperloop design.
That was a team project. That wasn't me on my own. That was actually a really fun project with a team completely remote, believe it or not, from each other. We all
Mm.
worked together and we made a prototype in the end, a physical prototype at the SpaceX HQ, Hawthorne, California. And Elon Musk himself presented the award to our team. It was a best innovation in show.
Amazing. Well, it's funny because Hyperloop is literally my metaphor that I use for generative AI. It's like you're walking, to me, it's you're walking through your life or walking through your project or your business. And there are some times when you can just like jump on a Hyperloop and go 70 miles in, like a minute, and then you can step back off and then go at your pace. And then you can kind of jump on and off of it. It's like a, bullet train or something for productivity.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great metaphor. I love that.
Yeah. So what do you think? Does AI wake up at some point? Does it become sentient? And then if it does, then what happens?
I would put my money on. I interpret that as, do I think AGI is going to be anytime soon, and what does that mean?
Yeah.
I think I would put my money on it, Eben. I'd put my money on it. It's I don't know the future. I don't know what it means for us. I can only think in the present and the fun that it is right now. I can have a say in from the creative guys and girls. I can have a say in how we use it. That's what I'm
Hmm.
trying to do at the moment. But as soon as AGI comes along and it can have that piece that I regard as so important, which is the vision and the planning and the strategy, and it can do that itself, um, there is no reason why it won't take our jobs. It won't take everyone's jobs. I think life after AGI is a very big philosophical question. It's almost as if, you have an open world game and you've got to really grind to level up and earn your perks and things, and it's fun. But then as soon as you put the cheat codes in and you can have absolutely all of that, you play it for a day and you're on board now. So what do we do? We're life after AGI. I don't know, but for better or for worse, I put my money on it being fairly soon, actually.
Hmm. Jake, thank you. This has been very enlightening. I really appreciate you taking your time. Congratulations on your videos and your awards. You deserve them, my friend.
Thank you, Ever. Thanks for listening to my crazy ramblings.
So thank you for watching another Metamind AI interview. Remember to keep practicing prompting, keep learning, get our prompt pack and quick start video, watch our other videos to learn from other AI experts, and stay tuned to us here on Metamind. Stay subscribed because this is going to get really interesting.